Well, it's a hot afternoon in Sochi, 27 degrees, hotter than that at pitchside, but it's midwinter in Australia, midnight, or coming up to midnight anyway, in Sydney. Plenty of tinnies will be taken. If you don't know Aussie speak, that's for tinnies is for cans of beer, and I'm sure Aussies all over the world will be holding their breaths and biting their fingernails for the next couple of hours with their national team perhaps one win away from reaching the round of 16 in the World Cup for only the second time in their history. Now I say perhaps because even victory over Peru tonight might not be enough to see Australia qualify. If Denmark can avoid defeat in that other game in the group against France in Moscow this afternoon, then they will go through and Australia will be going that long way home. In fact, there is a scenario where Denmark could even lose and still qualify at Australia's expense, but more of that later if it does indeed get complicated. The only certainty for the Aussies is that nothing less than a win will do here in Sochi, the seaside resort on the Black Sea, almost 1,000 miles from Moscow, where Australia's fate could yet be decided. At this moment, of course, qualification is out of their hands. Clive Allen, victory might not be enough for Australia, but do you make them favourites to beat Peru?
I make them slight favourites. I think the way they go about their game makes it very interesting, because if they open up, I just think that this Peru side, who have been exciting without scoring a goal, they get lots of shots, they make opportunities, they just haven't had a cutting edge, so it could be a fascinating game. Australia have to be careful, but most importantly, they have to win.
And what do you think could happen in that other game in Group C between Denmark and France in Moscow?
I just think that Denmark might just get the point that they need. I think that France qualified, changes made by Didier Deschamps. I don't think that bodes well for Australia, I have to say.
Huge crowd here. Peru, remember, have already been eliminated after losing their first two games, but they still have an enormous following as fans and players inside this Sochi stadium will gather now for the national anthems of Australia and Peru. The passionate rendition of the Peruvian national anthem from players and fans alike. Well, football, of course, isn't the most popular sport in Australia, where the game has to compete with Aussie rules, cricket, both codes of rugby, but you'd never guess that here in Sochi, where the Socceroos do have that huge following for this crucial game. It's the first time these two countries have ever faced each other in international football. Australia only just made it to Russia, remember, in what's a long and exhausting qualifying process for them, but they dearly love to have at least one more game, and it would be against the runners-up of Group D in the knockout round, and heaven knows who that will be. If we think Group C is complicated, it's got nothing on Group D, where any one of three nations could qualify along with Croatia. So just to remind you of the situation here, Australia absolutely have to win, hope Denmark lose, and also achieve a two-goal swing in terms of the goal difference column in the league table. It's currently Denmark +1, Australia -1. Various permutations, as you can imagine. It could even go to fair play, that criteria. At the moment, the Aussies have picked up 3 yellow cards. Denmark have picked up 4. Let's hope it doesn't get that far. But, well, it's a huge, huge test for Australia, Clive. And, you know, we saw last night how teams who have already been eliminated, like Iran, like Morocco, can still give their all and make it very difficult for their opponents.
Well, I think that's been so refreshing about the competition, that all the games, there have been teams that have gone for victories, even if they're struggling or they're out of the competition. So I don't think we'll see any different today, because Peru have been exciting, as I said earlier, created chances, and I just think they have a threat as well. In Guerrero, their top goal scorer in Peruvian football, he will lead the line. Cueva, for me, is a really talented individual just behind him. Carrillo and Flores from the flanks, also a real potent force. So they haven't scored goals, they quite possibly could today.
Australia's final game in Group C then, they lost 2-1 against the French, then drew 1-1 with Denmark thanks to a rather fortunate penalty award. Both the goals they've scored so far in this competition were from the penalty spot by Jedinak. Let's remind you of Australia's lineup: Matt Ryan in goal, the back four of Risdon, Sainsbury, Milligan and Bajic. In front of them, Jedinak and Moy, and in front front of them, the attacking trio of Lecky, Rogic and Cruz, with Tommy Juric replacing the injured Banut as the lone striker. Peru have Gallese in goal, back four Advincula, Ramos, Santa Maria and Trauco. The defensive midfielders Tapia and Yotun. The attacking midfielders Carrillo, Cueva and Flores, and their all-time leading scorer Paulo Guerrero will lead the attack. Peru have their change strip today, not the usual iconic white shirts with the sash. Instead they're playing in all red with a white sash across the shirts. Australia all in yellow on a hot afternoon in Sochi in the Fish Stadium, which holds around 48,000 and is pretty much full to capacity. And it's Peru who get the game underway after the whistle from Sergei Karasev, the Russian referee. And they start to build in the middle third of the field. The ball with Trauco, their left back, who plays for the Brazilian club Flamengo. They've got some experienced players here, and like all the South American and Central American teams that we've seen in this Cup, well, not all, because Argentina are disappointed, but most of them, I'm thinking in particular of the likes of Colombia, have really, and Uruguay, really brought the competition to life.
They have, and they've got better as it's gone on. Obviously slow start for Colombia, but they showed what they're capable of, as has Uruguay. And for me, Peru have given a good account of themselves. I think that they've been adventurous in the way that they've gone forward, good technicians. They just haven't had that goal threat and real potent force that could have made the difference for them.
Edison Flores dispossessed there on the halfway line, so Australia break forward for the first time, and the ball is down the Australian left-hand side of the field. They've got three in and around the penalty area. It's gone in short to Robbie Cruz, who plays it back out to that left flank, but they've lost possession about 10 yards from the Peruvian corner flag. The ball out of play, in fact, for a throw-in to Peru. Their final game, of course, already eliminated after losing against Denmark and France by the same 1-0 scoreline. They waited a very long time to reach these finals. None of the squad were even born the last time they appeared in them in Spain in 1982. It's the longest absence of any of the countries competing in Russia in 2018. Australia have a free kick 10 yards from the halfway line inside their own half. The ball is played across to right back Josh Risdon, who plays in the Australian League for the Western Sydney Wanderers. They have some marvellous names out in Australia in their big league. He was cautioned when he conceded the penalty against France. They've kept possession from that throw-in. The ball knocked down the right touchline, cleared by Trauco for Peru, but they're facing their own goal at the moment, the Peruvians, and can't get out. And Australia have won another throw-in. It's midway inside the Peruvian half. It'll be taken by Josh Risdon, the right back, looking for a bit of movement from his teammates. Finally clips it forward, and it's knocked out of play. So that'll be a throw-in to Peru, which Trauco, the left back, we've seen a lot of the ball in the opening exchanges here, will take. Knocked on, and a decent ball into the path of Christian Cueva, their main playmaker, first choice throughout the qualifying competitions. He can't retain possession for long, so Australia have it back inside their own half with Jedinak forward to Risdon. Jedinak, the captain, the Villa man, who scored those penalties against France and Denmark, and also got 10 goals in the qualifiers. I think 7 of those also were from the penalty spot. He's one of the most effective penalty takers in international football. He didn't get many goals from open play, either for club or country, but from 12 yards out, facing just a goalkeeper, he's lethal. Australia have possession on the halfway line and win a free kick for a rather clumsy challenge on Rogic, the Celtic man, important player for Celtic. Well, he's won so much in his 8 years there in Glasgow. They've already taken the free kick, and the ball is knocked across to Mark Milligan, who, like Tim Cahill on the bench today, is playing in his 4th World Cup finals for Australia. We're yet to see Cahill. He can rest his 38-year-old legs a little bit longer. But here they go with Juric, midway inside the Peruvian half, slides through one challenge, then loses possession. And Peru at the moment have been unable to really effectively cross the halfway line.
Yeah, they found it difficult. Australia dropped off initially, and Peru across their back line could keep the ball really under no pressure whatsoever. but Australia in their way have just kept possession. They're not probing until this long ball from Jedinak whipped into the far corner.
And Leckie does well to even get there, keeps it in from the byline, cuts inside into the Peruvian penalty area, gets it on his left foot, clipped it across, it hit the defender, and then the follow-up shot by Jedinak was high, and not very handsome.
Yeah, that wasn't a good strike from Jedinak, but the initial ball down the channel to the byline, which Leckie got on, he then whips the cross in. There was a question that it might have hit a hand. They asked the question, the referee waved it away. It popped back out to the edge of the box. Jedinak's shot was a really poor strike, always rising over the crossbar.
Don't think it was a handball. It seemed to hit the Peruvian defender in the midriff, didn't it?
I think Jedinak asked the question, though, Alan.
You would.
Because there's something called VAR that you can go and have a look at.
Well, what a part that has played in these World Cup finals. I must say I was a bit sceptical, not sure about it at all before the competition got underway, but although it's had its failings, it's also been very successful in many instances. As Peru attacked deep inside the Australian half, not very effectively it has to be said, and Australia win the ball back with ease. Cruz playing it back into the left back position. Bajic knocks it long up towards the halfway line where Juric controls it well, and a clever ball over his shoulder towards Cruz. This looks promising here for Australia. Peru have got a man back, and only the goalkeeper would have been the man to beat there had he not hooked the ball clear there, Santa Maria. So that was a real opening for Australia.
Good covering from Santa Maria, because they built up down the left-hand side with two forward passes in behind the centre half. Santa Maria come across, covered for Ramos, managed to clear it for a throw-in.
5 minutes gone here on TalkSport 2. It's Australia 0, Peru 0. A game that the Aussies simply have to win and hope that France do them a favour against Denmark. Denmark only need a point in that match in Moscow to be sure of qualifying for the round of 16. Australia, remember, have to win, and as I say, hope that Denmark don't. Jedinak has the ball for Australia, plays it to Risdon, halfway inside the Peru half. Good layoff by him, and they come forward in a good position again. Juric gets to the byline and clipped it across the 6-yard box, where goalkeeper Gayese stretched his right arm out and snatched it before it could fall to an Australian.
Well, it's a lovely little ball, good run from Juric. He gets to the byline, they build up down the right-hand side, played into the corner of the 18-yard box. As he gets to the byline, he just taps the cross over, but Cruz has gone too close to him on that near post, rolls through aimlessly on the 6-yard line. Police gathered comfortably.
Group C this, remember, France top with 6 points, Denmark on 4, Australia 1, Peru none at all. They're going home irrespective of the outcome here. But Australia have made an excellent start here and already opened up the Peruvian defence more than once. Moy plays it back to Jedinak just inside his own half. Risdon seeing a lot of the ball down the right for Australia. The overlapping fullback clips it into the Peruvian penalty area, where again that man Santa Maria, who was a half-time substitute against France, comes across to clear the immediate danger, but they can't break out at the moment, the red-shirted Peruvians. Australia trying hard to force them back towards their own goal, force them to make a mistake, and they've done that. So Australia have it again with Moy. Moy surrounded by 3 Peruvian players, still manages to keep possession and finds Risdon on the right. Risdon clips it against the nearest player, and that was a Peruvian, so it's going to be a throw-in level with the 18-yard line down the Australian right. They made a good start.
They've made a good start on the front foot. It's all very frenetic. They've tried to turn that Peruvian defence around, certainly with balls down the channel in behind the left side of the defence. Positive from Australia.
And they've got to be, of course. They know they've got to win in a way that relieves the burden of thinking, well, a draw might do us good, you know, what's going to happen in the other game. They've got to fully concentrate on their own performance here and earn the victory that will put them in with a hope, but not necessarily put them in the round of 16.
Got to get the job done here, Alan. Can't worry about anything else that's going on in the France-Denmark game. That score will filter through, there's no doubt about that. If anything happens there, their absolute 100% attention has to be getting this job done, winning this game.
They have been knocked out of the group stage in the last 2 World Cups. They lost all 3 in Brazil 4 years ago, a nightmare group. Conceded 3 goals in each game against Chile, the Netherlands and Spain. They're doing much better here, and they still could qualify for the last 16. They have possession just towards the halfway line. The ball played forward to Rogic. Rogic hits it over the top. It's a good ball as well, and the overlapping fullback, clips it into the middle to the edge of the 6-yard box. Still, they can't get it clear. Peru. Rogic is there again, but just hesitated momentarily, and that gave them the opportunity to get the ball clear. Peru, and now they've won it back on the halfway line, and a wild challenge there by Jedinak. The referee shows him an immediate yellow card. His boot was high, right into the face of his Peruvian opponent.
Yeah, quite very caught, and it was a high boot from Jedinak, and in the end he catches him in the neck. Oh, incredibly high tackle. It's just completely mistimed. I don't think there was any intention to tackle him at that height, but the boot was up. He picks up a yellow card. That puts him on a knife edge straight away.
Yeah, and he's a competitive, he's a feisty sort of player, Jedinak. He won't want to be holding back from any challenges, but he's got to think twice now about anything he does that might incur the wrath of the Russian referee. Peru from the free kick have possession midway inside the Australian half. The ball played by Trauco, the left back, to that man Cueva. Cueva getting the ball back. Clever little player he is, certainly one of their best. Plays in the Brazilian league and had a brief spell in Spain with Rayo Vallecano a couple of years ago. And they come forward with Advincula down the right hand side, the right back, him and Carrillo, who look like brothers with the blonde hairdo. Those two round about the same height as well, and operate down the Peruvian right. Now they switch play to the left hand side of the field to Tapia, who started against Denmark but was cautioned and then left out for the next game against France. He can also play in the centre of defence. He's in midfield today. Santa Maria at the back, sweeps one way out to the far side. Very heavy touch though, and it's gone out for a goal kick. Carrillo unable to keep it in play. Goal kick to Australia.
Alan, it's very interesting to see Bert van Marwijk, the Dutch coach, but Australian manager, in that technical area, waving his team forward. He wants them to press higher, he wants them to come up, really try to put pressure on the Peru side, not allowing them easy possession in their own half.
Well, Australia have possession inside the Peruvian half. Good turn there by Matt Leckie, and that wins a throw-in for Australia. Rogic has seen a lot of the ball early on here for Australia and has done really well.
Yeah, he's just got himself in that pocket, hasn't it? Just behind Juric, but in front of certainly Moy and Jedinak, in the pocket, trying to get the ball into his feet and play off the centre forward.
Jedinak has brilliantly won the ball back for Australia, and he's on the edge of the Peruvian penalty area. The ball knocked to Rogic. His shot is blocked, and then in comes Bejic, and he was challenged quickly, and the ball has gone out of play for a throw-in to Australia, just about level with the 18-yard line on the far side of the field. That's the Australian left. Aaron Moy, who had such a wonderful season for Huddersfield, has possession for the Aussies. They've had to knock the ball back all the way towards the halfway line, where Trent Sainsbury, who spent last season on loan with the Swiss club Grasshoppers, gets it back from his fellow central defender Mark Milligan, and then plays it forward to Moy. That's a good ball. It's opened up a gap in the Peruvian defence. The ball is with Robbie Cruz, their attacking midfielder down that left-hand side, who's had most of his career in the German league. A long ball out to the right-hand side. He was meant to pick out Josh Wisden. He was at full stretch and couldn't reach it. It's gone out for a goal kick to Peru. We've had 12 minutes, 0-0.
It is a good start from Australia, and the more they get Moy on the ball, in particular in that central midfield area, he's looking and has the range of pass. On that occasion, just slightly overhit on the diagonal, but Wisden, the right back, and Bejic, the left back, are both looking to get forward at every opportunity.
You're listening to the World Cup live on TalkSport 2, your home of exclusive Premier League and English Football League commentaries, and we'll bring you all the action from England tours of the West Indies and Sri Lanka this winter. Following this programme, remember, we bring you TalkSport 2 live with commentary of Iceland versus Croatia from 7 o'clock. 13 minutes on the clock here. Australia 0, Peru 0 on TalkSport 2. A long ball deep into the Peruvian half, bounces second time through to Pedro Gallese, who saved a penalty on what was his international debut earlier in the competition, or before the competition started in the match against Panama. He knocks it forward to the edge of the Australian penalty area, where Sainsbury lets it run through to Matt Ryan.
The disappointing thing, Alan, is that with 13 minutes gone, that Australia really haven't tested Gallese, created an opportunity, even half a chance to strike a goal.
Yes, they've certainly enjoyed the majority of possession without, as you say, really threatening. They have possession at the moment in the middle third of the field with Bayic, the left back who plays for Bursaspor in Turkey. The ball now played down the left-hand side. Cruz has possession for the Australians, has to go back towards the halfway line, and Bayic again. They've got 10 men back behind the ball at the moment, Peru. Moy has it for Australia in their all-yellow kit. Now Sainsbury, the central defender, on the halfway line. Just knocks it right-footed forward. Moy reaches it at the second attempt. Bayic plays it forward. Cruz is there again. It's good possession by Australia. Can they find a gap in this Peruvian defence? So far, no. Advincula heads the ball clear. But inevitably, it goes back to an Australian player. And this time it's Moy in possession, halfway inside the Peruvian half. Good build-up play, but they need a cutting edge now. That's a better ball by Moy into the area. And he crosses, and it took a fortunate bounce from Peru's point of view off the defender Ramos and straight back to his goalkeeper Gallese.
There's some good fortune, but excellent build-up. Again, it was Moy and Cruz on that left-hand side who combined. Moy's ball into the corner of the 18-yard box, goes to the byline, cross comes in, and then Santa Maria's clearance actually thundered into Ramos, popped straight back into the goalkeeper's hands. He's winded his Ramos, the centre-half, but they had a little bit of good fortune there after Australia's good play.
Central defender plays in the Mexican League. He knew absolutely nothing about that clearance. It was just hit against him by Santa Maria. He went down on his knees, and there were boos from the Australian fans in this huge crowd here in Sochi. He's back on his feet now. Australia have possession and return the ball sportingly to the Peru goalkeeper Pedro Gallese, dressed all in blue. Just rolls it to the edge of his penalty area and finds Christian Ramos to Santa Maria. Now Cueva takes over in the middle, still just short of the halfway line. Now they move into the Australian half, Peru. Tackle coming in from Josh Risdon means the ball has gone out for a throw-in to Peru right on the halfway lines. Last nation to qualify. They almost didn't make it after a dreadful start in their qualifying competition. 4 defeats in their first 6 games. And although they played some decent football, they have, in the end, disappointed here. I think Clive mentioned it before. I think they had 17 shots in their first game, 10 in their next, and didn't manage a single goal from all those efforts.
Yeah, that will be the most frustrating thing about their performances here, that they've created opportunities, goal attempts, without finding the back of the net.
But they have possession just outside Australia's penalty area. Trent Sainsbury has to move in quickly to clear the immediate danger, but Cueva picks up the loose ball for Peru, and then Trauco plays a clever little one inside. They've had to come out to the left flank to Cueva again, and Cueva plays it against the Australian, the nearest man to him, and it bounces off him for a corner. Well, it's got to be a corner, hasn't it? He's given a goal
saw
kick.
that, didn't we? Cueva's going absolutely crazy.
Well, that's a poor decision by the Russian referee.
The last touch was off of Risdon. Should have been a Peruvian corner.
Oh, no question. Anyway, Australia got on with it before the referee could change his mind. I don't think VAR has been used too much for corner or goal kicks.
He can't go to VAR for a corner.
No. A long ball, and suddenly Australia are in a little bit of danger here. The ball is with Guerrero inside their penalty area. He knocks it long, and the shot finds the back of the net. Carrillo, with a brilliant right-footed effort, has given Peru the lead, and once again, the team that's going home has shocked the team who hope to stay.
First ball straight down the middle, in behind that Australian defence. Guerrero gets onto it. He then clips it from one side of the penalty box to the other. And when we said they've had a lot of shots, Peru, they've not had a better shot than this, or a better strike. Because as it comes to the right-hand side of the penalty box, it is the most wonderful right foot volley from Carrillo. Chipped up by Guerrero. Carrillo rides back across into the far corner, giving Matt Ryan absolutely no chance. I'm not so sure he's touched the ball, the goalkeeper. He's had to pick it out the back of the net. What a superb technical volley from Carrillo to put Peru in front.
Andre Carrillo, the winger who made 30 appearances on loan in the Premier League for Watford from Benfica last season, has really given the Australians a mountain to climb now, and Peru have their first goal of the 2018 World Cup finals, and it has sparked fantastic celebrations amongst their fans. They might be going home, but they've got something to remember with fondness now, as Matt Ryan, the Australian keeper, shakes his head. Well,
he could do nothing about it, Alan. It was a goal of real quality. In terms of the ball in behind that Australian defence, Guerrero holding it up, the cross back to the far side of the penalty box, and then the technical volley from Carrillo was superb.
It's against the run of play, but Peru don't care about that. And now suddenly the goal difference column reads -2 for Australia, and that could count. That could count for a lot in the end. But they've got to win this game first. They've got to get level first. We've had 19 minutes here on TalkSport 2, and it's Australia 0, Peru 1, with one of their very first attacks. At the moment, it's Australia who sit on the bottom of the table because Peru, by dint of that goal, have overtaken them, of course. Well. Australia in possession. A lot of room for Bajic on the left-hand side of the field. But the left-back has run into trouble against Advincula. Yet another in this Peruvian squad who plays in the Mexican League. The ball is knocked forward. Still halfway inside Peru's half. But Australia regain possession. Yedina, the skipper, already shown a yellow card. Rolls it out to the right flank to Josh Risdon. Back again to Yedina. Now they've got 11 men back behind the ball, Peru. And this is going to be doubly difficult for Australia, who don't get many goals, to find a way through. Moy plays a good ball forward, however, and Rogic rolls it out to Bajic. Bajic with an early cross. Lecky gets up high, but it was a really difficult header for him, and it's gone out of play. Goal kick.
Well, he's coming from the right-hand side, Lecky, as the cross comes from the left. The fullback just really eases that ball to the back post, and he just comes under it. He can't get the ball off the top of his head and away. You really need to respond quickly now, Australia. They know it's going to be a massive task to actually get back in the game, let alone win it.
20 minutes gone in the Fish Stadium in Sochi. 48,000 capacity crowd have enjoyed a very eventful opening 20 minutes to this game, and the majority of them, Peruvian supporters, are absolutely in ecstasy at the moment, having seen their side score their first goal of these finals. And what a goal it was by Andre Carrillo, the man who played for Watford last season in the English Premier League. Australia have possession inside the centre circle with Moy. Moy slides it out to Risdon, the right back. Risdon knocks it forward, looking for the run from Juric. Juric is right in the corner though and can't keep it in play. Santa Maria got across on the cover, and it's gone out for a goal kick. The body language of some of these Australian players at this very early stage doesn't look great.
They've just gone a bit flat, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think it really has taken the momentum away from Australia, who started brightly. But what a technically brilliant strike from Carrillo. It's clipped up from Guerrero to that far side, and he stays focused on the ball. He strikes over the top of it, drills it back across into the far corner, giving Matt Ryan absolutely no chance.
Talented player, has played in the Champions League for Sporting Lisbon and also for Benfica. Now it's Australia threatening just outside the area with Lecky. Lecky closed down quickly by two Peruvian players, but he did well to keep possession. Now a third arrives to absolutely crowd him out. He's still going for it though in the corner, and they've eventually given the ball away and then regained it just as quickly. Peru, they're still halfway inside their own half. Australia fighting like demons to win the ball back here, and they've done that thanks to Yedinak. Moy lofts it forward where it's cleared by Christian Ramos, picked up by Bajic for Australia. Was he fouled there? The referee, I think, has waved play on. Or will he bring them back for a free kick? In fact, he's given an offside decision against Australia. They deserve more from that incident.
Well, I think that they again, they're trying to just threaten by getting the ball in behind that Peruvian defence. At the moment, they can't get people on. Peru now just drop that little bit deeper. They're saying you can play in front of us, but you're not going to have that opportunity to play balls down the channel and in behind us.
It really just shows you, doesn't it, with football, when you look at Iran last night, already out of the competition, same for Morocco against Spain. They both put in probably their best performance of the group, and it looks as though Peru are doing the same thing to Australia here.
No pressure, Alan, freedom, and they've expressed that, and then they've showed that they possess quality with the way that they've crafted the goal.
And pride, of course. As I said before, it's taken them a long time, 36 years, to reach these World Cup finals, Peru, and they'll be disappointed not to play further part in it. They're going forward with menace here, and they have won a free kick halfway inside Australia's half. It's another foul on their main playmaker, Cueva.
And it's that little man Quaver, isn't it? The ball's played to him, he comes straight, and the way he just controls it, then moves it forward, drives between a number of legs, and it's Sainsbury in the end that just clips Quaver as he's running away from them. He takes one for the team there, Sainsbury, because Quaver running at the heart of that defence would have been really dangerous.
Yeah, more like Little with that tackle than Sainsbury's, I think. But a free kick to the Peruvians in their all-red strip, halfway inside the Australian half. It's a long, long way, obviously, from the Matt Ryan goal, but he's still bouncing around anxiously on the goal line as it's clipped in towards him, and fortunately for him, Guerrero's header wasn't the best and went through first bounce to Ryan.
Well, it was a really good delivery because he actually picked the run of Guerrero. He's penalty spot area and he just tries to backhead it. It wasn't a powerful header, just trying to guide it away from Matt Ryan. Couldn't get any direction in the flicked attempt.
Australia come forward again with Bajic, the left back, but I think the ball had gone out of play when he controlled it on his chest. It had, so that's going to be a throw in to Peru, which they're in no great hurry to take. It's their 5th appearance in the finals, this. They actually took part in the first ever World Cup way back in 1930. The furthest they've ever gone, the quarterfinals in 1970. They've had a lot of fallow years. This is a new group of players of whom they had so much in terms of expectation. They're going home tomorrow or the day after, but with 25 minutes gone here in Sochi, they lead thanks to a marvellous goal by Carrillo, which has given Australia an enormous problem. But they have possession on the halfway line. A sloppy ball though by Juric. It's gone straight through to goalkeeper Gayese, and Peru start to build from the back.
That's where they have to be very, very efficient, because Juric picks the ball up, they get it into their centre forward. He needs to link that play. The ball into the path of Cruz from the left was a poor one, easily dealt with by the centre halves of Peru.
Now Peru have the ball with Trauco, their left back, on the halfway line. Lecky snapping into the tackle for Australia and wins the throw for his side right on halfway. And we're over halfway through the first half here on TalkSport 2. 25, nearly 26 minutes completed in this crucial game in Group C. As far as we know, it's still 0-0 between France and Denmark. If it remains that way, well, even if Australia can turn this around and win, that's not going to be good enough. Denmark just need a point. They're already on 4. The Aussies only have 1 in the group prior to kick-off here. Sainsbury has the ball for them on the halfway line. Thinks about hitting it long, thinks again, picks out Jedinak in the centre circle. On it goes to Moy, just inside Peru's half, and out to the left flank to Bajic. But look how many red shirts there are between the Australians and the Peruvian goalkeeper Gayese. It's going to be so hard to find a way through. And Sainsbury, the centre-back, comes forward himself. Nice little turn, plays it out to Risdon. Risdon, the right back, leaves it to Lecky. Lecky infield, and on it goes further still. Now Peru back away, and Rogic tries to find a way through, and almost did. His shot in the end was straight against the shins of goalkeeper Gayese. Brilliant bit of play there by Tom Rogic.
Well, first time he took a chance and he just weaved his way. He was direct, he went forward, good footwork, and in the end he gets a shot away. The goalkeeper doesn't know too much about it. He just hits his right shin, ricochets away for the corner. Good attempt from Rogic.
Brilliant play. The Australian fans in the crowd willing their team on. They have a corner which Aaron Moy will take. As usual, the referee is going to clamp down on any wrongdoings going on before the corner. It looks like Juric and Christian Ramos are having a bit of a clash.
Stood on the goalkeeper, and the referee's taking offence to that. It's just telling him not to push. The goalkeeper now is pushing. Ramos is grappling with Juric.
He's got to be really careful here, Ramos.
He's already told him once. Just give the penalty.
Yeah, we've seen that often enough, haven't we?
He's still doing it.
He's still doing it. He's got his hands all around
referee.
Referee should be taking further action here as the corner finally comes in and straight into the hands of Gayese.
Well, when I'm saying he's holding Alan, he's got both arms completely around Rogic there as he's in front of the goalkeeper as Ramos.
Yeah, well, you know as a striker how off-putting that could be. I suppose the tendency is to turn around and shake the man off, but you can't do that, otherwise you could be in trouble. But he got away with one there, Christian Ramos, I believe. Australia in possession, just inside their own half with Sainsbury. He hits it long, straight through to Peru's goalkeeper, Pedro Alejandro Gallese.
Well, that's a ball that's too straight. That needs to be going down the side of the 18-yard box rather than straight down the middle of the field. Runs away into the goalkeeper's hands comfortably.
Peru come forward. It's not long into the Australian penalty area, intended for Paulo Guerrero, but straight through to Matt Ryan in Australia's goal, and he gets the yellow-shirted Australians moving forward already. They're all in yellow today. The captain Jedinak has the ball on the halfway line and finds Risdon. Risdon back to the Villa man, Jedinak. And now it goes down the right flank again to Risdon. Risdon plays it into the corner to Lecky. Lecky's cross is deflected away from danger. Risdon goes down, and the referee's given the free kick against him for the challenge on Yoshimar Yotun.
Yeah, he just runs straight into the back of Yotun. He does well. Yotun just gets his body across the ball, and it was a rash challenge. Totally committed was the right back. Just takes that pressure off for Peru now. They can take their time, start to build again.
Don't forget, for your essential roundup of Wednesday morning's top sports stories, join World Cup Sports Day from 7 a.m. Russell Hargreaves and Hannah Wilkes discuss the latest from Gareth Southgate's England camp, as well as preview 4 more live World Cup commentaries across the TalkSport network, with both Germany and Brazil in action. We're coming up to the half-hour mark in Sochi, and it is still Australia 0, Peru 1. A magnificent right-footed volley by Andre Carrillo for Peru, and they have possession inside Australia's half.
The one disappointment for the Australians, Alan, was the fast start that they made, that they really haven't tested the goalkeeper more. Rodic with the only real attempt on goal.
Ramos has the ball for Peru on the halfway line. Advincula advances down the right back gets to the edge of the Australian penalty area, where he goes down in a tumble there with Bajic, but the ball has gone out of play, and it's a goal kick to Australia.
Yeah, two fullbacks coming together. Good run from Advincula, got forward, but Bajic stood his ground, was physical. Ball runs out for that goal kick.
Things looking bad for Australia at the moment. I think it's still 0-0 between the French and the Danes in Moscow. So as things stand, it's France and Denmark who will qualify from this group, and Australia face the possibility of actually finishing bottom, because Peru had 0 points before kick-off. Australia won, and of course it's Peru in the lead here. Half an hour on the clock on TalkSport 2. And on go the Australians again, down the left-hand side of the field. Good hold-up play by Rogic. Bajic gets in the middle. This is going to be a chance for Lecky. Near the penalty spot, shoots, and it's blocked. Just too many defenders in the way. And the referee has given an offside anyway.
He's given an offside for the 1-2 down the left side before it comes back into the feet of Lecky. And yeah, Cruz is a good yard offside when that ball's towed through to him before he cuts it back. It's just that delay, isn't it, Alan? The assistant doesn't put his flag up because he's waiting to see what happens. But then, obviously, he's realised that he was clearly a yard off. No advantage gained from Australia. Gives Peru the free kick, and rightly so.
Aussies have won only 2 of their previous 15 games in the World Cup finals, against Japan 2006, Serbia 2010, and Tim Cahill scored in both those matches. He's on the bench, remember, at the age of 38, and in his 4th World Cup squad. Will we see him before the end of this game, as Australia look threatening down the left-hand side with Cruz? He's challenged by fullback Advincula, with Australia wanting a free kick but not getting it.
Good old-fashioned shoulder-to-shoulder, I think. Cruz looked as if he had the run on Advincula, but he got back, got alongside him, and they both went shoulder-to-shoulder. Advincula won out.
And he swept a brilliant ball out to Carrillo, who's done fantastically well again for Peru. Cueva has the ball, edge of the Australian penalty area, and then plays a mysteriously poor ball back out to the right flank. They've still got possession, though, with Edison Flores.
But it was a chance to deliver into the box. Had 3 players in the box. Peru, and Cueva clipped it right the way back to the other side for his right back to pick the ball up.
Now Yotun has the ball for Peru, tries a long-range shot, not a successful one, a few yards wide of Matt Ryan's left-hand post. Goal kick to Australia.
Just lost their way. Just lost their way a little bit from that wonderful goal that Peru scored. It's just taken the momentum out of their game. Australia need to just pick it up again. I think maybe just make a few more almost risky passes forward, trying to get the ball into an area where they're going to ask questions of the two Peruvian centre-halves.
Yeah, hopes of qualifying drifting away about a minute here. A game they need to win, they are losing. You're listening to the World Cup live on TalkSport 2, your home of exclusive Premier League and EFL commentaries, and we'll bring you all the action from the England cricket tours of the West Indies and Sri Lanka this winter. Australia going forward again with Rogic, plays a clever little ball inside and a chance here in the middle. Oh, unbelievably, Leckie slid in, and I think the defender just might have got a toe to it first, and that's gone behind for a corner. What an opportunity though for Australia.
Brilliant ball from Rogic inside the fullback, and then when Cruz cuts it back, it looks as if it's going to be knocked in by Leckie before Ramos gets a wonderful interception literally 2 yards from the goal line to divert the ball away for an Australian corner.
Two defenders sliding in there on Matt Leckie, and that was enough to really lose the opportunity for the Australian wide man. Anyway, they have a corner. The referee again is having a word here with Ramos, who had that earlier incident.
Well, he's seen it first time, so he surely must have an eye on it. If he does it again, he has to give Australia a penalty. It's as simple as that. It's poor defending.
They have a corner which Aaron Moy is about to take. The referee keeping an eye on that collision again inside the 6-yard box. A better corner this time, but a difficult one to head goalwards, and it's gone out of play for a goal kick to Peru. 35 minutes gone, they lead 1-0.
Tapia does well at that back post because the ball's hoisted from the corner. Jedinak's arriving, and in the end Tapia just gets enough of a physical contact and the ball's deflected away for a Peruvian goal kick.
Frustration for the Aussie coach, Dutchman, Van Marwijk, who was only appointed back in January after Postecoglou resigned after they had qualified. He said the long qualification process had taken its toll on him. This could be Van Marwijk's last game, because he'll stand down after the World Cup to be replaced by Graham Arnold of the Sydney Football Club in the Australian League.
And he hasn't coached Australia in Australia, I believe.
I know, amazing, isn't it?
Remarkable.
Yep, that'd be a good quiz question in a year or two. Australia have possession, but they've given it away just inside the Peruvian half. They've knocked the ball long into Australia's half and straight out of play for a throw-in to the Aussies, who trail 1-0 here in a game. I remind you again, they have to win and hope that Denmark lose and also achieve a 2-goal swing. It's now a 3-goal swing, of course, because they've conceded here against Peru. So it's stacking up against Australia here. And they're not making much progress in this build-up attack. It's a little bit slow, a bit predictable. They're on the halfway line with Trent Sainsbury, and he's given it away. That's clumsy. He's given it to Carrillo, the last man you want to give the ball to. He has Trauco to his left. He cuts in field instead. Looks as though he was going to hit it there. Perhaps he should have done, because he's ended up just drifting it out to Advin Kula on the right-hand side. The right back goes down under a challenge from Leckie, and the referee has given Peru a free kick halfway inside Australian territory.
Well, it was a chance on the counter for Peru, but it really was. Carrillo just, in the end, he just took too long on the ball. Really sloppy pass, and the whole momentum of the attack broke down.
But Peru have possession again from that free kick with Advin Kula, who's in no great hurry to play it forward. Back to Ramos on the halfway line. Now Santa Maria finding Houghton, the defensive midfielder, who picks out left back Trauco halfway inside Australia's half. Good ball by him to Flores, edge of the box. Flores back to Trauco, who tried to reach it on the byline but couldn't. Out of play for a goal kick to Australia. You're listening to TalkSport 2 from Sochi. It's Australia 0, Peru 1. It's still, I think, 0-0 between France and Denmark in the other game in Group C. So as things stand, the French and the Danes will be going through to the round of 16, and Australia will be joining Peru on the way home. Not literally, different directions, different aeroplanes, but still their World Cup threatening to come to an end. Australia have possession, halfway line with Risdon, the right back. Must have rolled it all the way back to Sainsbury, halfway inside the Aussie half, forward to Jedinak. And the play is meticulous, the build-up, but it's when they get in that final third where they have disappointed. not just in this game, but in the tournament as a whole. Remember, the only 2 goals they have scored have both been from the penalty spot.
Yeah, no goal in open play. And I think sometimes you can see why it is a little bit too slow, laborious from Australia. There's no real penetration, which is going to ask any questions of the Peruvian rearguard.
Jedinak has the ball for Australia on the halfway line. Knocks it long to Risdon, the overlapping fullback. Risdon cuts inside, did well. Got round the second challenge and the third before he was brought down. Brilliant play there by Risdon. And that's a free kick to Australia, right on the edge of Peru's penalty box.
Well, it's a positive run down the right channel, cuts back inside, draws the challenge, does really well, good footwork, and then wins the free kick in a really dangerous position from which Moy can deliver.
Well, now this would give Australia real hope if they could get one back before half-time. Aaron Moy's delivery is normally spot on. He has a number of targets there. Looks like the central defenders, Sainsbury and Milligan, have come forward to join Juric and Rogic and the rest. He's concentrating hard, Aaron Moy, the Huddersfield man, the man they signed from Manchester City. It's no more than a yard outside the penalty area on the Australian right. And Moy, wearing number 13 on his yellow jersey, will take it. It's less than a yard, if anything. A lot of activity on the far post. Jedinak is involved in there as well. Finally, the referee, I think, will blow the whistle. He has. Moy knocks it in towards the far post. Oh, it was a chance, but the header was wide from Sainsbury, the centre-back.
It was whipped by Moy. Moy across the 6-yard box. He's just trying to get direction on the header because the pace is in the cross, and in the end it's a flicked header that goes wide.
Goal kick to Peru, just what they needed at this stage, because we have reached the final 5 minutes of the half. Following this programme, we'll be bringing you TalkSport 2 live commentary of Iceland against Croatia. That's from 7 o'clock. Here it's Australia 0, Peru 1. Denmark-France is still 0-0. So everything looking good for France and Denmark at the moment. Everything looking a lot less good for Australia. Peru have the ball midway inside the Aussie half and play it down the left flank to Cueva. Cueva comes in field. That's a good ball as well for Flores. Flores hesitates and is crowded out by 2 Australian players, but then he comes in and wins it back again and finds the right back, Advincula. The return ball for Advincula. He's quick. He'll get there, I think. He has, and he's kept it in play just outside the Australian penalty box. Advincula. Well, was he tripped? He was, according to assistant and referee. Free kick. Bajic, the man who brought him down.
Yeah, in the end he does really well. Advincula, he's strong, he's fit, and Bajic just strikes for the ball, but he's a yard away, he can't play the ball, ends up just clipping the heels of the fullback, giving Peru a free kick from a very similar position to the one that Moy had at the other end just a minute ago.
Now, will they regret conceding that free kick? It would be a terrible moment psychologically for Australia if they were to concede a second now, and they would then be seeing their hopes of a place in the knockout round receding very rapidly indeed. It is, as Clive said, a couple of yards, if that, outside the Australian penalty area on the Peruvian right. Yotun will take the ball. Looks like he's going to hit it left-footed towards the far post.
Yeah, he's going to whip this one in towards the goal, whereas Moy, right-footed, wound it away through the 6-yard box. This one's coming in towards Matt Ryan, the Australian keeper.
And he takes it, and not very successfully, easily cleared. But the second ball is picked up by Trauco, now by Advincula, still halfway inside Australia's half. The ball with Yotun still down the right-hand side. He gets it towards the corner flag, and there's a chance coming in here as the excellent Carrillo tried to dribble his way forward. This time he didn't succeed. The ball is cleared, and Peru have conceded a free kick halfway inside Australia's half. Advincula confesses to the referee with a little thumbs up.
Thumbs up to the referee, I think, because he's let him get away with a little bit of a kick on Cruz there. He mistimed it horrendously. I think he's just apologising for that. The referee's been lenient there. Could have issued a yellow for the right back.
Can Australia get level before half-time in Sochi? They trail 1-0 to a brilliant Andre Carrillo goal. They have possession, still inside their own half though, and they're going even further back to goalkeeper Matt Ryan. Second World Cup finals he's appeared in, the Brighton keeper. Had a very good season for them in the Premier League. Good ball played forward to Lecky, midway inside the Peruvian half. He goes down under a heavy challenge. The referee saw nothing wrong with it. Peru break with Carrillo. Back to Trauco, the left back. And back further still to Santa Maria, the central defender. Knocks it out to the far side of the field to Advincula, who crosses the halfway line now for Peru in their all-red strip today. Time running out for the Australians to get level before the break. Peru building slowly themselves, just inside the Australian half now with Miguel Trauco finding Carrillo, the goal scorer.
Alan, they've dropped away again, Australia. I think there has to come a point where they've got to take more of a chance, push players further forward, press higher in the Peruvian half. At the moment, they're dropping into their own half. Peru are quite happy to play on the halfway line, keep comfortable possession.
They want it back now, though, with Lecky, who had their best chance so far when he was crowded out a few minutes ago now, the first yellow card, because Lecky was brought down.
Jotun is who inexplicably, he didn't need to play the ball in the manner that he did. It was a cheap giveaway, and he went chasing after the ball, just pure frustration. Picked up a yellow card for the way that he challenged for the ball.
First yellow card for Peru. Jedinak had already been cautioned earlier on in the half for Australia. Ball is out of play, I think, near the halfway line. Gone out for a throw-in as we tick towards stoppage time. In Sochi, the Fished Arena, throw into Peru, a huge throw by Trauco, right down the line as well. Gives them possession. Guerrero for them, edge of the penalty area, finding the goal scorer Carrillo. Carrillo again tricks inside and wins a corner. Just what Peru wanted as we move towards stoppage time.
Oh, it's too easy the way that Carrillo shaped across with his right boot and then just skip past Wisdom down the left-hand side. He's then trying to cross the ball with the outside of his right boot. He gets blocked, but Peru win a corner right on the stroke of half-time.
He's been excellent in this half, Carrillo. Just a minute of stoppage time. The fourth official indicating to the crowd, and Peru have the ball in the corner quadrant. Short to Jotun. Jotun finding Trauco, the left back, who plays it out again to Jotun in the outside left position. That's a good cross coming in from him. Australia have dealt with it, and the ball will go all the way back, I suspect. Yes, into their own half. They know that the seconds are ticking away towards the half-time whistle here, Peru. And they have possession with Advincula just inside Australia's half.
Well, they've really controlled it since taking the lead. They've been the ones who, with controlled possession, have had the upper hand. Very, very little from Australia have they offered going forward and testing the Peruvian goalkeeper.
There is the half-time whistle. A very disappointing half for Australia, who have to win in Sochi to have any hope of going through to the round of 16. At the moment, they're losing. And also Denmark, who they will be hoping would lose to France, are drawing in the other game in this group. It was a wonderful goal by Andre Carrillo, set up by Peru's leading all-time goal scorer Paulo Guerrero. A lovely right-footed volley that found the corner of the net. Matt Ryan in Australia's goal had no hope of saving it, and you have to say before that Australia had dominated possession and indeed did so for most of the half until they conceded. Then it looked more likely Peru getting the second goal. So a disappointing scoreline in Sochi for Australia. Australia 0, Peru 1. Yes, indeed, Australia could be 45 minutes away from packing their bags and going home. They need to win in Sochi and hope that Denmark lose in Moscow, and at the moment neither scoreline is in their favour. They trail 1-0 despite 56% of possession in the first half, while France and Denmark are drawing 0-0 in the other game in Group C. It's going to be a change made at half-time, but it is not, as we perhaps expected, going to be made by Australia. Pedro Aquino is coming on. He was also a substitute against Denmark and started the game against France for Peru. A player who plays in the Mexican League. He got cautioned in that game against France. He plays in the centre of midfield. Usually, can't quite see at the moment whose place he's going to take, and they might be making a second change as well by the looks of it, because they have two players there on the touchline. No, Carrillo is the other one. He was the man, of course, who got the goal. He was just chatting with the substitute.
Yeah, it's Jotun who's gone off, who obviously was booked just before the half-time break. Tactical change, but like for like.
Yep, like for like indeed. On comes Aquino. Off goes Newton, who was the only player from Peru, showed a yellow card in the first half. The other caution was dished out early on to the Aussie captain, Mila Jedinak. Only Cahill has scored more World Cup goals than Jedinak. How desperately they need Jedinak or Cahill, or both, to be on target now in the next 3/4 of an hour. Otherwise, Australia will probably have the most arduous, exhausting and long qualifying process of any team. 22 games, extensive travel, 11 countries, somebody estimated 150,000 miles, several playoff games just to be here, but now in danger of going home early at the end of the group stage. They get the second half underway in their all-yellow strip in Sochi. Peru in a chain strip today of all red.
I just wonder, Alan, whether Van Marwijk will be considering that. Obviously not from the half-time break, but how soon into this game, whether he thinks that the introduction of someone like Cahill, his experience, his guile, just being up alongside, for me, they need more pressure higher up the field.
They need a break. They need some luck. They need some quality. And at the moment they haven't had much of either.
And it's Cahill who's actually quickly out of the dugout to retrieve the ball as Australia have to throw in down the left-hand side.
With Bajic, their left back, going down that left touchline. Two Peruvian defenders between him and goal, and in the end Advincula just shepherds the ball out of play for a goal kick to Peru, who themselves came through the intercontinental playoff against, ironically, New Zealand. Their government in Peru declared a national holiday after they qualified. So having scored a goal here, even though they're going home, there might be another day off.
They get a week off there, Alan.
Yeah, week off. Some of their fans were actually in tears when Carrillo scored that wonderful goal in the first half after just 18 minutes. The first 15 of which saw Aussie pressure without any real test for Gallese, the Peruvian goalkeeper. And that's been pretty much the story of Australia's World Cup so far. They're on the defensive now, with Cueva playing the ball forward for Peru, and gets it out to the left flank this time. Flores is in a good position, but they opt to try and cross instead. The left back Trauco. Now Flores has the ball near the Australian corner flag. Challenge with wisdom. Both players have gone down, but the referee has waved play on. Matt Leckie upfield, and Peru win it back, even though Tommy Juric felt that he'd been foul there. The referee didn't. France lead the group at the moment, 7 points. Denmark on 5, Peru on 3, Australia on 1. Not only do they need a miracle here, they need a 3-goal swing, Australia. They've got to win, hope that Denmark lose, and switch over the 3 goals that are against them. But they've got a chance of getting their first one here as it's played through on the bounce to Tommy Juric. Out came goalkeeper Gallese and got there a fraction ahead of him.
Well, what a quality pass from Roy. Picks the ball up 10 yards in his own half and then hits the ball straight down the middle of the field over the back of the defence. Juric is on it, a really poor touch, trying to bring it down on his right instep, pops away from him into the goalie's arms, but a little bit more adventurous from Australia. Just needed that quality at the end of the through ball.
Well, they've got to be now. They've got to gamble, of course, and that might well leave the door open for Peru to get a second, which surely would finish the Aussies off. And they're coming forward here. Advincula curls the ball to the edge of the Australian penalty area when it's only half clear. Cueva wins it back, and then suddenly Trauco, the left back, arrived from nowhere, but tripped the ball straight into the hands of goalkeeper Matt Ryan for Australia. Now Moy, shaven-headed Aaron Moy, the Huddersfield town man, has the ball midway inside the Australian half. It's played forward to Jedinak. Jedinak with a slightly careless ball there has given possession back to Peru. Advincula, the right back for them, plays it short to Carrillo, gets it back halfway inside his own half. They don't have to force anything now, Peru. Just keep possession like this, force the Aussies to do all the chasing, the running, the closing down, all of which is so tiring, particularly in 27-degree temperatures in Sochi. And now they break dangerously down their own left here, Peru. They've got 2 men inside the penalty area as well. Carrillo, the goal scorer, is one of them, and the shot by Guerrero has found the net, and Australia's World Cup dream is crumbling before their eyes. They trail Peru possession here.
Well, it was all too easy for Peru down that left-hand side. Truco plays a 1-2, gets in behind on the left touchline. It's a simple little ball inside. He followed the run. He wasn't tracked back. And when he cuts into the edge of the box, he just tries to slide the ball square. It ricochets into Guerrero's path, and on the half turn with a left foot volley, he hooks it back into the far corner. Really good striker's finish that was. Some good fortune in the way the ball popped up for him, but he hooks it in. A slight deflection as well off of Milligan, takes it away into the far corner. Oh, Australia, they're on the ropes. Are they knocked out? They're certainly on their way home, I feel.
35 goals in 89 internationals now for Paulo Guerrero, the man who, of course, was handed a drugs ban several months ago and enlisted the help of the federations of Australia, France and Denmark to help him get that ban lifted. The Aussies might be regretting that at the moment.
It was something that was in the tea, Alan.
Yeah.
But what he showed a great instinct there when that ball pops up on the half-turn volleys with a slight deflection, but volleys back into the far corner. 2-0 up Peru. Mighty big hill that Australia have to climb now.
Yeah, shame it came off Milligan playing in his 4th World Cup here for Australia. It's not the kind of memory he would want to take into his international retirement. I'm sure there's 3 or 4 perhaps of this Australian squad who will be thinking of hanging their boots up for their country after this, and you cannot see any way back for them now. They have won a corner, however, on the Australian left flank, which Aaron Moy will take. You never know. We've seen some shots already in this World Cup. Jedinak hits it goalwards, and a good save by Gayese, albeit one for the cameras. He made that look more dramatic than it needed to be.
Yeah, very theatrical from the goalkeeper, but Jedinak, he has a clear header from the corner of the 6-yard box at the back end, and he just eases it back into the 6-yard box. Easy for the keeper to claim.
And here comes the saviour, perhaps, for Australia. Tim Cahill is about to make his first appearance in his 4th World Cup at the age of 38, with over 100 caps behind him, their all-time leading goal scorer. If he can drag them back into this, he will have the freedom of the entire continent of Australia. Great cheers from the Aussie fans for the appearance of Cahill on the touchline, and he will take the place now of Djuric up front for Australia. He's scored in each of the last 3 World Cups for Australia. Can he make it 4?
Well, it would be a miracle, but he's a man who loves the big occasions. There's Tim Cahill. He loves scoring important goals, and that's exactly what he's got to try to deliver now.
Now with Millwall in the English Championship, after spells with them and of course Everton in the Premier League, wearing the number 4 on his yellow jersey and facing an almost impossible task to drag his country back into this. They trail 2-0 here. It's still 0-0 in Moscow between France and Denmark. Denmark only need 1 point to be sure of joining the French. And there's a big banner held up amongst the Australian fans with Cahill's photograph on it and the message, "Good luck, Daddy." He's going to need all the luck in the world here, and so are his teammates. How can they possibly turn this one around? And the underdogs, only in the sense that they were already eliminated, have put on their best display of the tournament here, Peru, just as Iran and Morocco did last night. Australia had won themselves a free kick just outside the Peruvian penalty area for a foul on Matt Leckie.
It's clever play from Leckie, because as the ball's rolled to him on the angle, he just steps over it and deceives the tackle that comes in from the left-hand side, wins a free kick. Chance here. Have to make these sort of opportunities count.
54 minutes gone. They need at least 3 goals here, Australia. Wow, 3 goals against a Peruvian team that have defended well when they've had to. Gayese, their goalkeeper, lines up the wall. His free kick is just outside their penalty area. Moy will take it perhaps. Rogic is showing an interest as well. Those two in conversation about what to do. The goalkeeper's decided on a 3-man wall, edge of the box. Moy and Rogic over the ball. Jedinak is the furthest Australian forward here. Nice header, remember a minute or two ago, saved by Gayese.
Alan, I wonder if Rodic with his left foot might just try to shoot into the near post area here.
We'll see. Number 23 for Australia, the Celtic player, backs away as the referee puts the whistle to his mouth and blows it now to enable the free kick to be taken. It is Moy who hits it, in fact, straight at the nearest defender. He's virtually knocked him out, flat on the ground, but it is going to be a corner off him.
A little bit surprised that it wasn't Rodic with his left foot, but Moyes tried to wind that ball over the wall, hits the top of the head of the defender. He's poleaxed, he's going to take a little while to get back to his feet, but corner one.
Yeah, another corner for Australia. How desperately they need a goal now. Cahill in the mix, of course, now. Great header of the ball, apart from all his other qualities. Can he get free? He's out holding onto the shirt of his own player here.
Is he allowed to do that, Alan?
Yeah, I think so. He's not stopping them doing anything, is he? Anyway, it's clipped in towards the penalty spot. Cahill was waiting for it to knock down, and it never did. It was cleared by Peru. But Cahill's very presence has lifted Australia.
Yeah, he's a threat, isn't he? He's one of those, he's a pest in the 18-yard box. So you can see there, really clever, standing behind his own man to protect himself from being picked up at the corner.
Yeah, as far as I know, I can't see any reason in the laws of football why you can't do that.
Ungentlemanly conduct. He wouldn't be
well, that covers a million sins, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But give him the service, he's a taker of chances.
Well, one young child in the Australian section of the crowd is finding it all a bit too much. Fast asleep with her mother. No one's sleeping at the Peruvian end, however. They are celebrating, jumping up and down, waving their red and white jerseys, flags and Peruvian banners. They might be going home, but they're going home with pride and a little bit of style. They lead 2-0 here on TalkSport. You're listening to the World Cup live on TalkSport 2, your home of exclusive Premier League and EFL commentaries. And we'll also be bringing you all the cricket action from England tours of the West Indies and Sri Lanka this winter. And don't forget, following this programme, TalkSport 2 brings you live commentary of Iceland against Croatia from 7 o'clock. Peru have possession. They have a 2-0 lead. Flores has the ball halfway inside the Australian half. It's knocked back to the near side that's the right hand side for Peru, to Advincula, who loses possession. And Australia looking increasingly desperate now as Cahill gets his first touch halfway inside his own half. They don't want him there, they want him in the opposition half. Moy now for Australia on the halfway line. Slides a good ball forward to Rogic. Rogic to the left, picking out Bajic, the left back. He finds Leckie near the corner flag for Australia. Leckie hits it against Advincula. It goes out for a throw-in, and there's going to be another change here. I wondered if they might make this change at half-time. Daniel Azani, the youngest player at this World Cup at the age of 19, he's a real prospect. They say he's the best young player they've had since Harry Kewell. He has come on and replaced Robbie Cruz. We were chatting at half-time, Clive, and we both thought that was the change they might make.
Well, he's a real young talent. He certainly will play with no fear. You just wonder whether he can just liven this Australian attack up.
Long throw comes into the Peruvian penalty area, and I think it was Jedinak who got his head to the ball. It might have touched the defender on the way out. Yes, it must have done, because the referee's given a corner. It hit Trauco, I believe.
Well, he's hooked it away. Jedinak rises in the 6-yard box. Again, the header, I don't think it's going in, but Trauco took no chances, just hooked it out for a corner.
Aaron Moy will take this corner for Australia. The usual scrapping going on even before the kick comes in. And the referee is calling over now Christian Ramos, who he warned more than once in the first half for just this kind of thing. How many more warnings before he at least brings out a yellow card or even awards a penalty against him?
And Tim Cahill, again, the same thing. 3 Australian players are lining up, one behind the other. So as a defender, you can't get between them. And as soon as there's any movement, there's lots of grabbing going on.
In comes the corner. Cahill gets his head to it, and a chance here. Oh, what a miss! miss. What a miss by Aziz Bejic. His left foot shot wide of the post. It must have taken a deflection, but still it was a miss.
A lot of confusion in that box, and in the end Bejic with his favoured left foot strikes it, slightly touched. I'm not sure it's going in, but deflected past the upright for another corner.
Another corner taken by Moy, held up into the middle. Bejic is there to head it back towards the 6-yard box, and still they can't find a way through. The ball is half cleared, only as far as Rogic, edge of the Peruvian penalty area, and now Peru relieve the pressure by breaking clear with the excellent Carrillo, who's bowled over just inside the Australian half, and that's going to be a yellow card and a free kick to Peru.
I think it's the young substitute who in the end is chasing back hard, and he just bowls over. The challenge on the touchline, Tim Cahill's first opportunity from that scrambled second corner is a volley that's blocked, and then they break away Peru and just take the sting out of the game now with a free kick conceded by Anzini, who gets the yellow card.
Yeah, Arzani, the man who's only just come on, the 19-year-old, in the referee's notebook, and a free kick just inside the Australian half to Peru, taken by Ramos right to the edge of the penalty area. Sainsbury heads it clear, and Leckie has the ball for Australia and plays it up first time towards Cahill. Cahill trying to win it off the defender, only ended up accidentally kicking him, and Peru still retain possession just inside their own half with Advincula down the right flank to Carrillo. Carrillo back again to Ramos. Listening to TalkSport 2 in Sochi, an hour gone, Australia 0, Peru 2. A fatal scoreline if it stays that way for Australia's hopes of making further progress. A great scoreline for Denmark, who themselves are drawing against France in Moscow. If the scorelines stay as they are at this moment, then it's quite straightforward. France and Denmark will be going through to the knockout round. But Australia have not given up yet. They've put their talisman Tim Cahill on, a new all-man. At the moment Peru have got a player down injured, so there's going to be a stoppage and a pause for breath here, and the Australian fans in the crowd hooting with derision. They don't believe there's a genuine injury at all to Tapia, the midfielder. He might be getting replaced anyway because they've got a substitute, Paulo Hurtado, ready to come on. But those two Australian mistakes, if you like, that led to goals. Carrillo in the first half, although it was a beautifully crafted goal as well by him, and then an excellent finish, albeit off the defender. Milligan scored by Paulo Guerrero early in the second half to make it 2-0 Peru.
A real poacher's goal, wasn't it? Guerrero's is Peru's top goal scorer, and when that ball pops up, he instinctively on the half turn hooks it back into the far corner. Yes, a slight touch off of Milligan, but a really good attempt from the Peruvian captain to give them the 2-0 lead.
It's tough for Australia. I mentioned before all the games they have to play to qualify. They can't really stage training camps or indeed friendlies because their squad is spread with clubs all over the world. This squad of 23 are with clubs in 12 different countries, so it's an enormously difficult task to get to a World Cup finals and then to compete in them. But I think they'll be disappointed with their performance here today.
Yeah, I think they just haven't had that cutting edge. If they haven't had enough opportunities, or they haven't had that clinical finishing which could make the difference, especially when you've got to win a game in the way that they had to today.
Hurtado, an attacking midfielder who plays in the Portuguese league for Vitória Guimarães, has come on for Renato Tapia for Peru.
Just adding fresh legs in that central midfield area. Both their changes have come in that particular part of the pitch, and certainly they're just trying to nullify the threat or any dominance that Australia could build up in that area.
Well, time running out now. They need 3 goals at least here, and even that might not be enough with Denmark still drawing with France in Moscow. But this promising young player tries to get the ball forward there for Australia, loses possession, so it's once again with Peru deep inside their own half. Carrillo has it, brings it infield, and it's played out to the left hand side where they will make progress thanks to Trauco. Trauco forward, and the referee has given a free kick to Australia halfway inside their own half, which they're in a hurry to take now. Jedinak for them. The ball is played out to the left-hand side to Bejic. Bejic finding Azani. Azani can't keep it in play, and it's gone out for a Peruvian throw. And as each minute ticks by, Australia's hopes are getting slimmer and slimmer, and Peruvian fans are getting louder and louder.
They certainly are. They're enjoying the performance that their team's putting on today. 2 quality goals, I have to say. They're singing their hearts out.
But Australia have possession with Leckie deep inside his own half. The ball played out to the right back Risden, who makes ground, and into the Peruvian half he goes. Plays it back to Leckie. Leckie's brought down, was he? Right in front of the assistant. He certainly was with the second challenge, if not the first. And at last a free kick has been given.
Yeah, substitute Aquino in the end just pulls Leckie down. 3 Peruvian players across to stop him going down that right touchline. Challenge from behind by Aquino gives Moy the opportunity to deliver from the right touchline.
65 minutes gone on TalkSport 2. It's Australia 0, Peru 2 in Sochi. And Australia have a free kick deep inside the Peruvian half, which will be taken by Aaron Moy, who's been busy out on that right flank for Australia with set pieces in their second half. A lot of corners, a lot of scrapping going on for position in the middle as Moy's free kick comes in towards the near post. And it's cleared again by Peru. And a rather cynical foul there, which is sure to lead to a card. And indeed it does.
Yes, Rodic, who just in the end grabs hold of Cueva. He knows that the counter-attack's on. Cueva's clever. He knows Rodic is coming, just toes the ball away from him. He wraps himself around Cueva, hauling him to the ground, picks up a yellow card.
Jedinak and Rogic have both been yellow carded now for Australia. Yilton, who's gone off anyway, was cautioned for Peru, who lead 2-0 here. And although they cannot qualify because they had no points having lost their first 2 games, they've put on a show here, the Peruvians. They'll be pleased about that, even though in the end it won't mean anything in terms of the group. Well, it will for them, because they will climb above Australia, of course, and they'll take that in this situation, I'm sure. Jedinak for Australia on the halfway line. Plays it long. Australia claiming a free kick, which hasn't been given, and Azani did well to come and win it back, and then tries a shot from 25 yards, which flies over the crossbar.
Alan, he's been bright since he's come on, and on this occasion, with the help of Tim Cahill, the ball pops him, he knocks it off of his chest, and then it's there to hit on the volley, strikes it well, but it's just over the top of that Peruvian crossbar.
Don't forget, for your essential roundup of Wednesday morning's top sports stories, join World Cup Sports Day from 7 in the morning. Russell Hargreaves and Hannah Wilkes discussing the latest from the England camp and previewing 4 more live World Cup commentaries across the TalkSport network, with both Germany and Brazil in action. Goal kick to Peru, launch forward by Gayese up to the halfway line, and kept in play by the man who's just come on, Hurtado. He's gone down, claims a free kick. The free kick, if anything, is going to be Australia's, and they're deliberately wasting time here, Peru, which the referee is warning them about.
Well, Hurtado fell over, and then on the floor he pushes the ball away with his hand without the free kick being given. He's now frustrated because the referee's given that free kick to Australia, and they've got on with it very quickly.
They have possession inside the centre circle with Aaron Moy. The Huddersfield man twists away from the challenge and plays it to Sainsbury, the central defender. Good ball to Jedinak, who lifts it forward. And this looks more promising. Cahill joins the attack. The ball clipped into the middle. They've got 2 men forward there. Cahill's one of them. Oh, a header goes wide, and another opportunity goes begging. Good defending indeed, though, by Peru. They've taken the corner already. Aaron Moy has the ball left edge of the Peru penalty area, leaving it to Azani. Azani gets it towards the corner flag. He needs help here. Gets it from Moy, edge of the box. Moy's cross is easily cut out, and Peru will try to counter-attack down their right, but Bejic gets there first and knocks it back to goalkeeper Matt Ryan.
That must be the fear now for Australia, because they're pushing more and more bodies higher up the field on the counter-attack, that Peru could break away and score a third and just completely put this game to bed.
Moy trying to win possession on the halfway line, clashing with the Peruvian first goal scorer, Andre Carrillo, and conceding a free kick.
Yeah, the one thing they can ill afford now is just indiscipline. Australia keep committing fouls. Peru will just run the clock down. There's no urgency about the way that they want to get on with the game. They're more than happy with the position they find themselves in.
That second goal scored by the all-time leading scorer, Paulo Guerrero. An absolute dagger through the heart for Australia. Peru lead 2-0 here. And Australia are on their way out. Well, both these teams are on their way out of the World Cup, with France and Denmark looking at, well, France have definitely qualified for the second round, and Denmark pretty sure to join them at this stage. Peru have possession on the halfway line. It's going to take an enormous turnaround. It's still 0-0 in Moscow. And remember, just a point would be enough for Denmark, irrespective of Australia, what Australia do here. Peru have the ball on the halfway line. It's knocked back to their central defender, Santa Maria, who sweeps it out to Trauco on the left-hand side. They're trying to win a throw-in midway inside the half, but Quaver's got other ideas. He wants better than the throw-in, but he's lost possession, and that gives Australia a chance to break, increasing urgency and desperation about their attacks now, though. Hazani is free on the left-hand side, and they picked him out. He's got the ability to come in field, which he does, and clips the ball towards the far post. It was a horrific clearance by the defender there, which could have easily ended up in his own net. Unfortunately for him, it was cleared by the goalkeeper, and it's only going to be a throw-in, which they've taken already. Hazani has the ball once more, and you do wonder why he wasn't brought on earlier. He's looked effective. Gets it back again from Moy, just outside Peru's penalty box.
Well, he's been effective because he's been positive. He's taken players on. He's delivered balls into that 18-yard box. Really looks a bright spark.
And had he and Cahill been on earlier, you never know what would have happened. His cross here was meant, well, not his cross, it was Bejic's cross, was meant for Cahill in the middle. I'm not sure whether the offside flag has gone up there, but he certainly looked offside. Well, no, he was onside. He was onside, Cahill, even though he looked in an offside position when the ball came in.
Oh, it's just all about the quality. Cahill spins in centrally. Bejic arrives from the left-hand side. Just needs a soft side foot volley into the path of Tim Cahill, and he just gets too much on it. Rolls agonising across the open goal.
Last roll of the dice for Australia. Last substitution. Jackson Irvine, who's been on for Rogic in both games, replaces him yet again. The Hull City midfielder who began his club career with Celtic. Also had a spell with Burton Albion in the English Football League. But with less than 20 minutes to go, it's looking a hopeless task now for Australia. They trailed 2-0 in a game they had to win. They're losing, and Denmark, who they were hoping would lose, aren't. They're drawing with France, who'd already qualified anyway. But Australia have possession on the far side of the field. The ball is with Hurtado, their substitute, who's slowing it right down. I think he was thinking he was going to get a free kick there. But
well, there were two players on the floor, Alan, and in the end he looked, he signalled to the Australian boys, and then now they've got on with it. He didn't kick it out.
And suddenly Australia are on the back foot again. Very poor clearance there. He's gone out for a corner. Well, I don't know what on earth he was up to there, Risdon. He just sliced his clearance completely behind.
Panic. It really was panic. I'm not sure that he got a call from Ryan in that Australian goal. Diving the ball in behind him, and then as the touch goes into the 18-yard box, he's charging back towards his goalkeeper, and he slices it off of the outside of his left boot away for a corner. I think that just sums up Australia's performance. It really has been. It's been frustrating. They've not had the quality that was needed to really take this game to Peru and win it.
Yeah, we always thought this was going to be a tall order for Australia. They could concede another narrow short corner right across the box. Australia managed to clear it, but it's gone back to Quaver, who's had a very good game. Hurtado, the substitute, just outside Australia's penalty area now, tries to play it infield to Advin Kula, but got it wrong. It's gone behind. Goal kick to Australia. 74 minutes on the clock here on TalkSport 2 from Sochi, and it is Australia 0, Peru 2, and it looks all up now for the Aussies, but they're still attacking down their right. The ball just outside the Peruvian penalty area. The cross is not clear. It'll be a throw into Australia near the corner flag.
Yes, Truco who cuts out that ball, but again, that really has let Australia down. That last final delivery, whether it be a pass or a cross of quality, they haven't been able to find it.
They build again, midway inside the Peru half from that throw-in. Jedinak down the right flank. Now the ball is knocked in long towards Cahill. Goalkeeper mishandled it originally, but then leapt on the loose ball and will take his time. Tim Cahill just having a word with him.
just giving him a pat on the head. The keeper's taking every moment that he can to run that clock down. He takes the ball well, he takes it high, but as he falls, he collapses on the ground. He's not going to get up. Tim Cahill's going to pick him up.
Well, they were known, Peru, as a counter-attacking team with plenty of pace up front. A team that didn't enjoy much possession, and that's pretty much how it's worked out today against Australia. They were also known as a team who conceded a lot of goals from set pieces, but that hasn't worked out at all to Australia's grief. Their set pieces have been dealt with in the main by Peru. They've got another one now, although it's only a throw-in. Ozani, bright young prospect who plays for Melbourne City in the Australian League, will leave it to Bajic, the left back. Bajic looking for a bit more movement from his teammates here. It's level with the 18-yard line. Throws it back to Moy and gets it back from him just outside Peru's penalty area. Now Moy tries to shape for a right-footed cross. Can't get the ball out of his feet though, and they regain possession here, Peru. Deep inside their own half. They're not bothered about that. They just want to keep the ball, and they're doing that pretty well at the moment. Still near their own corner flag. Great little turn there by Carrillo, though in the end he's given it away. So here comes Irvin, the substitute, trying to set Bajic, the left back, free inside the Peru penalty area. Got it wrong. It's cleared upfield. And although the Peru coach is getting a bit animated on the touchline, he must be well satisfied with less than 15 minutes to go by his team's performance.
I think he's probably very, very happy with a position they find themselves in. A bit frustrated that they're not able to keep the ball when they've played out from the back. Advin Kula, for me, has really defended well in that right back position.
And now a careless offside decision goes against Risdon.
Well, he's high and he's forward, he's the right back, but he should be looking along the line. He's in acres of space on that right hand side. He should be keeping himself onside, looking across before that pass is delivered to him.
Free kick to Peru, midway inside their own half. Some very sad, miserable looking Australian faces around the stadium, the Fish Stadium, here in the Black Sea resort of Sochi, as the ball is played all the way through into Australia's penalty area, straight to their goalkeeper, Matt Ryan, who gets them moving forward, more in hope than expectation now. They must know the game is up. They've got to keep going, of course. You never know. Look at what happened last night in the Spain-Portugal group.
Well, we've seen some drama. We've seen a lot of late goals in this World Cup as well, so Australia have to keep going. Just one, and you wonder whether that would put enough pressure on Peru for them to panic.
But remember, Australia don't need just one. They don't need just two. They need three. And
they need a miracle.
They do. It is a football miracle that they're praying for now, as Peru are about to make another substitution. Well, Cartagena, a midfielder, one of several in their squad who plays in the Mexican League, is going to come on for them. And we'll find out in a moment whose place he will take. It is, in fact, the man who scored the first goal, Andre Carrillo. What a good game he had. Deserved standing ovation for Carrillo as he leaves the field.
And a goal of highest quality. You've got to say that the way that he struck the right foot volley to put his team in front, their first shot on target in the game, he made it count.
I wonder if he'll go back to Watford, either on loan again or permanently from Benfica next season when the English Premier League gets underway. Hurtado, another substitute, just fails to keep the ball in play halfway inside Australia's half. Oh, dear, that was a late challenge by him on Behic. You could hear the scream from Behic from here, and it's a yellow card for the substitute as well.
Yeah, that was a naughty challenge. No need for him to go charging in to the fullback in the way that he did. Hurtado very, very late.
Free kick. Not that that's anywhere near sufficient now for what Australia hope for what Australia need. Milligan has the ball for them, but he's deep inside his own half still. There's no real pressure on him, so he moves up to the halfway line, gets it back, stood in his own half, now hits it up long towards Cahill. Cahill tried to bring it down on his chest but couldn't control it. So Peru have possession with Cueva, who's had a very good game for them. Good challenge though, dispossesses him on the halfway line. Still a chance then for Australia to at least get a goal from open play, a scant consolation, because they're almost certainly going home unless we see something quite dramatic. Hurtado has the ball for Peru. Advincula to his right, and he picks him out just outside Australia's penalty area. Back again to Hurtado, and back further still towards the halfway line, and in no hurry to make further progress now, and indeed it goes all the way back to goalkeeper Gallese, who hits it left-footed up towards the halfway line. Hurtado with a lovely through ball as well. There's a chance for Guerrero here, and he's got support. Pulls it in back. Oh, it's hit the post. Flores, I think it was, who got the left foot shot, and it hit the post, but in fact the flag has gone up anyway. It would have been disallowed for offside.
But again, they're going to get caught. Australia, they've pushed lots of bodies forward. Ball played in behind that defence. Clever reverse pass from Guerrero. Comes to Flores, who strikes it well, but it thunders into the upright.
Unlucky that for Peru. And now Australia counter-attack. They're already midway inside Peru's half on the Australian right flank. The ball is played infield to Jedinak, and now to Moy. Moy helps it on to the left to Behic, the left back. He slows it down. Back again to Moy. And once again, this rather ponderous build-up by Australia enables Peru to get men back behind the ball. Now Leckie plays it forward. Azani tries to knock it in, left-footed, but it's cleared at the expense of a throw-in. Azani takes it himself and finds Leckie 10 yards from Peru's penalty area. He leaves it to Moy. Moy across to Jedinak. It's all a bit predictable this, I'm afraid, from Australia, giving Peru plenty of time to organise themselves. And they have conceded a throw-in about 10 yards from their corner flag.
Yeah, they're just a little bit pedestrian. They've run out of ideas. I think Australia, Peru have kept their shape, defended well.
Yep, and have men back behind the ball as Australia regain possession now with Moy midway inside Peru's half. That's a clever little ball. It's opened up a space. Azani is there, edge of the box for Australia. Can he find room to get a shot in here? He's totally surrounded by Peruvian players. He's tripped, in fact, by one of them, and that means a free kick in what should be a dangerous position here for the Aussies.
Well, he does really well, Azani, because he's quick-footed. He's got 4 or 5 Peruvians around him. He skips past a couple of challenges, and then when a stray leg comes out, over he goes. It is an opportunity. There's not been enough for Australia in this second half.
Well, the Aussie coach knows more than we do, but you still get the impression that if he brought Azani and Cahill on earlier in this game, it would have helped. They came on too late, really. The situation was almost desperate by then. Anyway, here's a free kick 10 yards from Peru's penalty area, which will be taken by the penalty expert, the Aston Villa man Mile Jedinak. He can score from 12 yards with only the goalkeeper to beat. Can he score from 25 yards with a lot of players in front of him? He lifts it high and over the crossbar.
Yeah, too far out. Jedinak is trying to wind that ball, and in the end he scoops it. It balloons up and over the crossbar. Doesn't trouble Gallese in that Peruvian goal. I would have imagined that he would have been expecting a far more busy afternoon than he's had, the Peruvian keeper.
And I guess you'd have to say, without upsetting our Australian friends listening, or indeed if we've got any Peruvian friends listening, the best 2 teams in this group are going through.
Yes, I think so. I've enjoyed watching Peru. I think they've been expansive, they've gone forward, they've created chances, they've showed that they have quality, and in particular in the goals that they've scored today. But yeah, I think the best two teams in this group will progress.
But here's Lecky for Australia. Oh, he was dispossessed just as he was about to pull the trigger.
And it's that man, Advincula, who gets back. Lecky's driving into the 18-yard box, and he almost picks his pocket as the right back. He gets back on the cover, scoops it away from Lecky before he can get a shot in.
So, just to remind you of the situation in this group, at the moment, as things stand, France top, 7 points. Denmark second, 5 points. Peru third, 3 points. Australia bottom, 1 point. And that's not even considering the goal difference situation, which is also heavily against Australia now. They'll keep going, they're professionals, they have to, but they must know in their heart of hearts, with over 5 minutes remaining, that things are lost here.
When you look back at a World Cup campaign and you haven't scored a goal in open play, yes, you have 2 penalties, that really, I think, emphasises the problem that Australia have had coming to this World Cup. No real cutting edge.
They only just made it, but they're unable to prolong their stay. Here's a chance though for Irvin inside the penalty area. When he had a chance to shoot, he decided to knock it across, looking for Cahill in the centre, and another opportunity goes begging. And now Peru break, and it's 3 on 2 or 3 at the moment. They've got players all, oh dear. Guerrero has made a complete mess of it. He had 2, maybe 3 players unmarked up with him.
He definitely had Hurtado on the right hand side of the field as he breaks down the left, but it was a very, very tired pass from the Peruvian captain.
So Australia break instead and win themselves a late corner here as we move into the final 5 minutes in Sochi. It's the right back Josh Risdon who wins that corner and who will take it. He knows now they can't wait for the main corner taker, Moy, to come across. Time is of the essence. Moy is coming across.
He is coming across, but there's a lot of weary Australian players really dragging their bodies forwards, getting themselves into that Peruvian 18-yard box. Can they make just one of these count?
Moy hits it in towards the near post where it's headed clear. And once again, a disappointing set piece by Australia against a team who are known to be vulnerable from those situations. Azani has the ball from the resulting throw. He's brought down surely, but no, the referee, the Russian official, has not given anything. We haven't needed VAR in this particular match. They're monitoring every moment of it, of course, but it's not until we get something contentious, shall we say, that they communicate with the officials out there.
Well, he's once or twice as Karevichev, the Russian official, pulled players up in that Peruvian penalty box when corners, set pieces are going in, but really they haven't been upset enough, I don't think, to really make any fouls that have been helpful for Australia,
who have the ball just outside the Peru penalty area. Yet another wasted cross straight into the hands of Pedro Gallese, the Peruvian goalkeeper.
I think that just sums up Australia in the final third. A lack of real quality that's going to make the difference today.
Well, they came into this game knowing they could actually go through to the round of 16. They're going to finish bottom of the group, and they've picked up another yellow card as well here. It's Mark Milligan with a rather late challenge on the excellent Cueva.
Well, it's brilliant from Cueva. The first touch was spot on under his feet, and as Milligan comes to make the challenge, he slips it through his legs, and all Milligan could do was hook his legs away from him as he was about to run away.
A sad end to a 4th World Cup for Milligan. Cahill is on the same number for Australia. Milligan plays in Saudi Arabia now. It's a free kick to Peru anyway, halfway inside Australia's half, and they have the ball inside the centre circle. They've been chasing and closing players down, but Advincula, careful with his possession, keeps Peru on the ball just inside their own half. It's all a bit messy now. Advincula comes out with the ball and plays it back to Ramos, the central defender. He gets it back from his goalkeeper.
He's been my man of the match. Advincula, the Peruvian right back. Whoever's very close alongside him, but I think he's been excellent on the ball, got forward when every opportunity, but more importantly defended superbly for his team.
Carrillo had a terrific game as well, didn't he? The man who scored the first goal. So, you know, they've had the stars of the show here, if you like, Australia, and I suppose in a way that sums them up. They've been workmanlike, consistent, if you like, but, you know, they just don't have that X factor.
No, especially in the final third, where it counts, whether it's a pass, whether it's inventiveness to make the opportunity, and then the finishing ability. They've lacked that, Australia.
But they're on the attack for one of the final times as we move into the final minute here, plus stoppage time, of course, and there have been a number of substitutions, so we're probably looking at 3 or 4 minutes of added time from the Russian official as Australia come forward with Azani, crowded out this time, Azani, and again, every time they break now, Peru, they look really dangerous. They've got men over. It's Hurtado, one of their substitutes, who has the ball. I'm not sure what he was trying there, but he made a mess of it, whatever it was.
I think he's trying to reverse pass to his captain there. Guerrero slides the ball wide to him, and then he takes a touch. He's looking just to wind it in behind that Australian defence for Guerrero at the back post. Moy gets a block. He takes it in the midriff as well for his troubles, does Aaron Moy. But more importantly, the ball's away for a corner for Peru. And as you can imagine, they're just strolling out to that right-hand side. Hurtado is in no hurry to get on with the game.
And we're about to find out how much the Russian referee will add here. The 90 minutes is up. Australia's World Cup is up and over. 4 minutes will be added as the ball is played into Peru's half. An easy clearance for Ramos. Throw in to Australia. They'd still love to get that one goal, I'm sure. Cahill wins another throw for them. Wanted to take it quickly and finds Azani from the throw. 10 yards inside the Peruvian half. Now the ball is with Jedinak inside the centre circle as Australia build down the right hand side this time, and then a misunderstanding between Leckie and Risdon gives Peru possession again.
Oh, sloppy tide pass from Risdon.
Copa America will be the next big tournament, of course, on the horizon for Peru. They've got a lot of younger players that have been blooded by Ricardo Gareca, their Argentine coach, and they've certainly got some quality, even though it's taken them a while in this competition to show it. Jedinak for Australia hits it long into the penalty area. Cahill tries to win the header. In doing so, push the defender. That's a free kick to Peru inside their own penalty box.
Yeah, Tim Cahill really frustrated at that back post there. The ball's hoisted in by Jedinak and he clearly pushes Ramos. So Peru just literally seeing this game out. Very, very comfortable they've been all afternoon long.
The last two nations to qualify. And coincidentally, as I mentioned earlier, Peru actually beats Australia's rivals New Zealand in their playoff. Are both going home. It is still 0-0 in stoppage time in Moscow between France and Denmark. So we now know the situation in this group, with France and Denmark both qualifying for the final 16. Ball is out of play, midway inside Australia's half. I'm going to leave it to Risdon, the right back, just confirming that situation. France on 7 points, Denmark on 5. Peru have gone above Australia now as a result of this victory, which I think we can safely call it. Over 2 minutes of the 4 minutes of stoppage time has been played, and they lead 2-0 here on TalkSport 2, with Australia in their all-yellow strip, attacking perhaps for the final time as the ball is knocked forward towards Cahill. What a fairy tale that would have been if he could have got on the end of that header, but he couldn't. It's safely in the hands of the Peruvian goalkeeper, Gallese.
Yeah, and he's just going to push his team up. They're coming up to the halfway line, going to clear long. Job well done from Peru. I think they knew they was going to come under pressure. They did in the early stages, but they crafted a fantastic opening goal and have never looked back from there.
And they've shown moments of quality that suggest, you know, if they'd have been able to get it right in those opening two games, it could have been them making progress to the round of 16. However, it's not to be. At least they have restored some pride, as we mentioned earlier in the game, and they've scored two excellent goals as well. particularly the first one by Carrillo. The second one from Guerrero ended up going in off Mark Milligan, the central defender for Australia. And that goal early in the second half was a real killer for Australia. We must have thought, well, we've got 45 minutes, we can still turn it around. But as it happens, even if they'd gone on to win this game with Denmark drawing against France, it wouldn't have mattered. They would have been on the way out of the competition anyway. Peru have the ball with Hurtado. We're getting the oles now from the Peruvian fans, who've certainly brought plenty of colour and noise to this World Cup, as indeed all the South American supporters have. The goalkeeper hits the ball up to the halfway line, but it's gone out of play, and we are seconds away now from the final whistle. And the Socceroos are going home. They have now been knocked out of the group stage in the last 3 World Cups. They did a little better than they managed in Brazil 4 years ago when they didn't have a single point. But this must be the end of an era for players like Tim Cahill, who came on in the second half for his 4th World Cup, and for Mark Milligan, likewise for him. There are tears amongst the Australians, and tears of joy at least for Peru, who finally, in their 3rd and final game before they are now eliminated, at least have climbed off the bottom of the table in Group C, and at least they have a couple of goals to show. Andre Carrillo with the first, a terrific right foot volley in the first half, and then their all-time top scorer Paulo Guerrero with the second early in the second half. It's finished as well, I gather now, in Moscow, so I can confirm that France are the leaders of Group C with 7 points. Denmark go through with them on 5. Peru are on 3 points. They have finished 3rd, and Australia, with just 1 point, finish bottom. The final score in Sochi: Australia 0, Peru 2.